technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good morning, I'm Caroline Doyle, and these are your 10:30 BCIT News headlines. Another shooting took place in Surrey early this morning. Police say shots were reportedly fired around 2 a.m. in the 8,000 block of King George Boulevard. Officers say no one was hurt in the attack, but a business was damaged. Investigators say it appears to be related to extortion. Police are asking anyone with information on the shooting to come forward. In Victoria today, Minister of Health Josie Osborne is making an announcement on the future of decriminalizing drug use. The 3-year pilot project on decriminalization is set to expire on the 31st of January. As of last Friday, Health Canada says it has not yet received an application for extension. Osborne will be speaking at 1 p.m. this afternoon at the Royal Jubilee Hospital in Victoria. Now over to Quebec. Quebec's premier has stepped down after 7 years. Giuseppe Valiente from the Canadian Press dives into what led up to the resignation.
François Legault and his Coalition Avenir Québec party entered the new year trailing well behind the Parti québécois and the Liberals in the polls. Legault told a news conference in Quebec City that he recognizes Quebecers want change and that he'll stay in the role until his party chooses his replacement. Legault created the CAQ in 2011 with businessman Charles Sirois and became premier for the first time in 2018 with a majority mandate. He won a second majority in 2022 but quickly fell out of favor with the Francophone majority as public services, including healthcare, stagnated. Legault shepherded Quebec through the COVID-19 pandemic and championed controversial secularism legislation that banned some public servants from wearing religious symbols on the job. The next provincial election is scheduled for October 5th. Giuseppe Valiante, The Canadian Press, Montreal.
This change triggers a leadership race for who will replace him as leader of the Coalition Avenir Quebec Party. And yet another provincial party leader has stepped down. Alison Jones from the Canadian Press reports Bonnie Crombie has announced her resignation as leader of the Ontario Liberal Party.
Crombie decided in September to step down after receiving just 57% support in a leadership vote at the party's annual general meeting. She initially said she would stay on until a successor was chosen, but now says it's time for both her and the party to move forward. The Liberals have not yet announced a date for the leadership contest, but they say they will soon. Crombie held the job for 2 years, but lost decisively to Premier Doug Ford in last year's snap election and failed to win her own seat. Alison Jones, The Canadian Press, Toronto.
Crombie plans to leave her post effective immediately. And Prime Minister Mark Carney and his entourage touched down this morning in Beijing to rebuild the fractured relationship between Canada and China. Carney's focus will be advancing trade and environment cooperations. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand says the world is shifting.
Over the course of the last few years, the geopolitical environment has changed substantially, not only in terms of military conflict, but also in terms of the economic environment, where the economic order is becoming rewired.
Carney is meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Friday before leaving Sunday for Qatar. This marks the first visit by a Canadian Prime Minister to China in 8 years. And now over to the United States, an update on the ICE officer who shot a woman in Minneapolis last Wednesday. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy reports on the officer's status.
A week after the incident, sources now tell ABC News the officer who fired the shots was treated for internal bleeding in his torso. Administration officials have insisted Jonathan Ross was struck by Renee Good's vehicle. His own recording indicates he held his cell phone in one hand and his pistol in the other as Good began to drive forward. Ross was immediately driven from the scene by fellow officers. Officials later said he was taken to a hospital for treatment.
And in the U.S., Denmark and Greenland's foreign ministers will be at the White House today to discuss President Trump's intent to acquire Greenland. And in weather, in Burnaby, it's 7 degrees today and cloudy. Tomorrow, we may be looking at a bit of sun, and it could pick up and continue throughout the weekend, so we're looking forward to that good weather. I'm Caroline Doyle with producer Hayden Stewart. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back at 2 for more news.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
It's your career, your vision, your goal. Navigate it your way. Flexible learning is designed for you. Learn a new skill or earn a degree at your own pace. BCIT, flexible learning for a complex world.